Okay, by my clock, it's 10 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Today we have convoy of starfighters bringing two F-104s and other equipment engines down Wall Street right past us. So I'm gonna adjourn for a few minutes and just go down on the street and watch them come back. And we can see what the assets are going Midland International. There.
My thing that appeared, oh, it's me, so like, but, sorry, you have to have. Oh, no worries. Get that, yes, no worries. Thank you. Good morning. Hi. How are you? Smells always nice. You can ask. Let's see. Yeah. Yes. They are here. Where are they watching? I guess I know. The wind is so bad right now. I did. Yeah. So that was, the war was in.
No, we just. We didn't. Yeah. Insecure. Oh. Right, okay. It was, we didn't, yeah, we saw the. Certain things.
Yeah.
But they're. No, they're downstairs, we didn't have anybody, you know. Okay. Lingering, yes.
Yeah. All trash. You read three them in the past.
Where'd you go to? Let's
see it from. Yeah.
I was just talking to.
Okay. Yeah, we were good. I've got my kids in there watching our night. So I just didn't know if that was like a real thing or not, as far as.
Every time I get stuff.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure it was like legit real, because otherwise I was like, you guys. Know. My babysitter. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Getting there to the $40. Yeah, which was nice. We went out to see. It was still less, at least we have the airport. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was just not far, so right. Yeah. I slept so much. And then I just slept. Well, never slept. But I just gave my life. So that's fine. I usually, I don't even understand. Yeah. And here's the wind. You don't wanna take that one? No, I don't wanna take any. But that second tractor you're pulling, didn't that look a little bit like a do-it-yourself warhead? That microphone didn't know, did it? The meeting should be paused. The.
Everybody's here, it's, 10:15 my time. Call the meeting back to order, please. Are we on? If, there is any public online, if you'd like to speak, if you would raise your hand and use the raise your hand function on Zoom so that we can turn you on. Announce your name and address for the record, please. Thank you. Item number 2. Motion approving the minutes of the May 6th, 2025 meeting of Midland Development Corporation. Is there any public comment? Any discussion? Okay. You just state your name and address, please.
Yes. Rhonda Campbell, 110 Ridgely. And. Okay. Why, I wonder why we're not having these meetings in those council chambers. The city building, it was like all of our building. I mean, there's so many reasons why I think that we would be there and not here. This is, supposed to be a public meeting. And I'm thinking we want the public to feel welcome. We know the recording ability at City Hall is a lot better than Zoom. I don't know if y'all tried to watch these meetings on Zoom, but it's hard to tell who's talking. It's hard to hear very well. It's just kind of hard to tell what's going on as easily. It's hard for everybody to sit here and not know who's kind of hard to tell. There, it's a lot easier to tell who's running the meeting and where everybody's positions are, and it just makes it a lot more cleaner. to know what's going on, and, the way I understand it is NPC has spent or promised out a lot of money. And it's important for us to put our eyes on y'all. I think nobody's been paying attention, and I'm guilty of it too. But we don't want to see the city go in debt any more than it has to. And that includes, spending wisely here. And so we want to see what's going on. We want to know what y'all are doing. We want to know. We just want to know. We want transparency. We've had a lot of dissatisfaction with the city lately and the school and their ridiculous bond that they passed. Was kind of upset with a lot of parts of the city. So it would be really helpful if y'all would move these meetings to the council chambers where it's more comfortable for the public.
Thank you for your comments. Any further public comment?
Doug Campbell, Western Midland Drive. In addition to what Robin said, transparency, I think, is really important. I think it's important for our city. And I think it's particularly important for this group because just the nature of what the Midland Development Group does. There's a lot of we need to have transparency about how this money will automatically go through. The citizens need to know how that's being spent, how that's being used. We need transparency on who's making decisions. There's a lot of ambiguity on what has happened with your role. Ms. Harris, we don't know how this is. What's happened? I mean, did you resign? Did you not? I don't know what's going on. A lot of people don't know what's going on. It's not clear in the minutes. It's not clear in the actions of this body. And so transparency is really important. And so I just hope that y'all can do that. I think being in the council chambers is no rare. That's just a very visible place. It's a very easy place for people to participate, to people to observe what's going on. This is not inviting. It's not familiar to our general citizens to come into this building here. So I don't know why we wouldn't have it there. And I just really would ask for everybody to be really mindful about being transparent and open about what's going on.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Any discussion from the board? Okay, call for a motion. Please move.
I'll second.
Moved by Director Lacy, seconded by Director Pennington. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item number the MDC approved a promotional agreement with Bush Tennis Center. Under the terms of the agreement, MDC will provide $995,000 to the Bush Tennis Center to complete the Ace Athletic Center contingent upon Bush Center securing $11,228,000 commitments for the project. The agreement was structured so that the MDC's commitment was the last dollars in to the project. Bush Tennis Center had till December 31st, 2024 to secure all of the commitments and certify to the MDC that the funds were available. Bush Tennis Center did not meet the terms of the agreement by December 31st, 2024. MDC did not provide any funds to the Bush Tennis Center, and under the terms of the agreement, the MDC has no further obligations to the Bush Tennis Center. Next week, January 9th through the end of the week, the IRF rock competition is coming to Midland, Texas. June 9th through the 13th, and they will be doing launching out of Reeves County, Texas. They are the Experimental Sounding Rocket Association, and it's the International Rocket Engineering Competition, IRAC. It will take place in Midland and West Texas. IRAC is a competition of student rocketry teams from across the USA and around the world. With a minimum payload size of 2.2 pounds, target attitudes of either 10,000, 30,000, or 40,000, 45,000 feet above ground level. Competing rockets are tempered to typically 4 to 8 inches in diameter and 8 to 20 feet long. Multi-stage rockets and all chemical propulsion types, solid, liquid, and hybrid, are allowed. IRAC's move to Midland from Spaceport America is a result of partnership among the City of Midland, Midland County, Visit Midland, and Midland Development Corporation. It is expected to draw more than 1,500 students in Midland with associated hotel room nights and visitor spending. NBC provides logistical support, not financial support. The event will take place at the Horseshoe. Monday, the 9th, is basically a registration day when all the students come in and they start getting everything certified. Tuesday is the welcome in ceremonies and the events associated here in Midland. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I believe they will be launching from Firehawks vertical launch site in Reeves County. And then Saturday, they come back to Midland. Friday night and Saturday, they come back from Midland for award ceremonies. These kids come from all over the world. They come from Europe, they come from the Middle East, they come from Southeast Asia, and of course, all across the nation. So it's really, really a big deal to be here in Midland. The economic impact, $5 to $10 million from the city of Midland, and it looks like this is potentially a long-term project for the city of Midland. It's a real win for the city of Midland. Fantastic event.
Mr. Chair, may I say something?
Absolutely.
If anyone wants to register as a spectator, you do need to do that at soundingrocket.org. It is free, but in order to attend the actual launches in Reeves County, you do need to register as a spectator.
So say something
Yes.
on the Bush Tennis Center. I wanted to flag the fact that the agreement was structured as last money in, and we have made that a practice on multiple different things that we've dealt with over the past few years. And I want to say thank you for the fact that you've structured those deals. It protected the city in this situation and protected the MDC. And so the wisdom of having last money in this situation was really prudent, and I hope that will continue to mark and highlight the way that you make the agreements. We're positive.
Is there any public comment? Any questions, discussion from the board? Okay, thank you. Item 4, number 4, presentation from the city of Midland, Five Drive Interchange Improvement. Jose Ortiz, thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. So, board, I was just here, it seems like a couple weeks ago, but we've had a really great rain here recently. I wanted to give everyone an update on the Todd Drive overpass and where we're at with that project. I know Sarah was bringing it up, but at the end of the day, you know, we talk about our partnership and then how it aligns with our strategic plan when it comes to working towards economic growth and development. So as we kind of navigate the slides here, I just want to basically, I think it's time for us to kind of just celebrate. It's a huge win for us. So I'll talk about, okay, win, but also what happens moving forward from here. So with all these different developments, do you want to drive? We can probably go to the next 2 slides. Again, that strategic plan, I'll go to, again, economic growth and business support is really what we do best when we partner with the MDC. And the next slide's going to show us basically what we talked about the last time. We talked about 4 different locations where we see a need for partnerships with the MDC. We talked about 191 at future 1250 because of all the growth in that region. The Briarwood project, basically Avalon West to 158, and our partnership also with the state with that particular project. And then Todd Drive is 3rd on our list. And then we have Golf Course and Todd Drive further south as you're approaching BI-20 as our 4th priority. Now, with this news we just received, that may pivot a little bit, but at the end of the day, think we're still in line with this plan. We just may want to talk about water versus roads with item number 3. So the next slide kind of shows you, again, the history. This is the data we use to determine what's needed when we talk about projects with MDC. This is our heat map. So you can see in October 17 to November 23, the dark dots are permits that were issued for homes or other commercial developments in the region. And you see it really brightens up the southwest part of the city, the sports complex along Avalon and 191. But you see a lot more activity in Northeast Midland, and which is ironic. You almost don't see it from 349 anymore because that growth is now a mile away. In fact, the Green Line was one of our first partnerships with the MDC in recent years, where between the MDC, I think the MDC put in about $1.3 million. The city put in a certain amount. We had developer dollars and we had state dollars. And that project, I believe, was over a $10 million project to provide the improvements that were needed for all the growth we saw out there. So if you remember back then, it's a 4-lane configuration. There wasn't a 2-way left turn lane. So that road was actually getting a little bit dangerous when you're trying to get to different parcels. So partnering with the state and the developers, we put in that 2-way left turn lane, made drainage improvements, and also secured the right of way needed for the signals that you see out there today. So all that really led to developing that corridor. But as we were managing that project, we saw the growth moving towards fairgrounds. We immediately realized we need to do something with fairgrounds. I forget when I made the presentation, it might have been in 2017, when we came to the MDC talking about a need for a project for just right of way acquisition for fairgrounds. And the MDC partnered with us. We secured dollars for the right of way acquisition, and it really yielded great results because we could get ahead of developers. We actually had the right of way in place, and developers actually started to build that road. So we had a partnership with the home builders to build fairgrounds from Mockingbird North to Occidental. And now you see the construction taking place in the blue to Mockingbird. That's going to finish that corridor, and that's going to give us another corridor going north to south to help with traffic and time. So again, it's leveraging dollars to secure other partners to help us out with these projects. But you can see in the heat map, it continues to go east. So if we go to the next illustration, it's a little bit of a zoom in. Those are the new permits that you're seeing. So from 2020 to permits, these are all the new permits that are listed in new homes. So fairgrounds has been constructed. We have a little portion, like I said, from Mockingbird to the Loop on construction today. But now Todd Drive is really starting to appear as the apparent next corridor that needs to go north and south. Challenge with that is that the interchange and Todd Drive doesn't exist. So there's a lot of history with that interchange. The MDC, again, they partnered with TxDOT. When I first came to Midland, Fairgrounds wasn't even done. So we got the Fairgrounds overpass done, but working through the state, it took a long time. Well, to accelerate the overpasses at Elkins, or I guess 1140 and 1150, the MDC actually pledged dollars, I think a total of $5 million for 2 interchanges. And what that yielded is an accelerated schedule from TxDOT because of the funds provided. They probably fast tracked those projects by 10, 15 years. There's really no telling because it wasn't on their radar to go to construction. And those 2 projects were probably closer to $50 million, maybe in the $40 million range. I forget exactly what it was, but again, $5 million for $40 million, rate of return is pretty substantial. And the acceleration of getting those projects done quickly is huge for us. But the challenge is left this little hole here. Todd Drive was not on our radar because Todd Drive doesn't exist north of the loop. So with the accidents of 1140, 1150, the state said, yes, we agree, we need to do these projects, and it left this gap here. But we as a city recognize the benefit. We really need to be aggressive about this and find a way to get funds to get Todd Drive taken care of as well. So I think in 2022, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, we entered an agreement again to, okay, let's pledge $1.7 million for the Todd Drive corridor. Of that, we took about $1 million to go ahead and facilitate the design of the Todd Drive overpass. Because if you wait on the state, they have 3 tranches or 3 phases. They've got the MTP, UTP, and the TIP before you go to construction. That whole process can take 15, 20 years. So we didn't have 15 or 20 years. So we went ahead and facilitated the design efforts, coordinated with the state, make sure the state was satisfied with the plans. And we knew that it's going to take us about 18 months, 2 years to design the project, put on the shelf, and then be really kind of aggressive with the state to find ways to get funds faster. We got great news a couple weeks ago. We received word in December of 2025. That's going to let that project. So we're talking about $1 million in investing for a $26 million project, fast tracking it, and we at the minimum save 6 years, if not longer. So the next slide kind of demonstrates or illustrates what we have in terms of what that looks like. So that's the last piece that wasn't built. That's what it'll look like in the future. And so that's gonna be great for all of us because around that area, when you look at the Todd Drive overpass, even fairgrounds, but the fairgrounds and the loop is starting to change. There's a lot of interest in development. So as this is getting constructed, I anticipate you may start to see developments at fairgrounds. This becomes the natural next location for development. And when I look at the acreage that's out there, you're looking at about 400 acres of potential development in this region. So to invest $1 million to get $26 million, a huge win. Well, what's next? And so in my mind, in order to place us in a position where we can get development to this location, we have a road, we just put in a sewer line, we need water in this region. So that's gonna be one of the things that I bring back is, what does that look like? So we have water on the north side of the loop, goes out to the Harmony School District or school that you see out there on the north side. We need to bring it a little bit more further east, bring it across the loop, come across to Todd Drive and then stub it out further south so that whatever we build now, I'm not turning into in the future. So it really makes sense. Again, we want to be proactive. If we're proactive, we're going to save dollars in the long run. So that project, to get it across now, it's a lot cheaper now than to bore in the future. So I'm going to suggest here in the next few months, we may need to look at a water line project in a partnership with the city and the MDC, bring that water in this region. So we're not turning a brand new pavement, but we're also opening up 400 acres of developable land to encourage developers to come to us. And the amazing thing is when you get enough out there, it's almost like a base, put that out there, develop will tie onto it and extend it. But they're not gonna put in an initial expense trying to get it possibly. But once you get to a certain point, okay, I'm within range, I want to develop this area because water's here. So that's gonna be the goal forward. The next slide, this is kind of intriguing. And again, I'm gonna take that one out. It kind of has a breakdown of all the dollars, but I was trying to spare us some time, so we'll go to the next slide here. So this is what that area looked like. You can see Midland Country Club on the far left side. You can see 3.9 Ranch Estates. And that's all that you had out there back in 2013. So this area was taken in 2013. Well, if you go to the next slide, you'll see how much is blown up with all the homes that have gone basically 2 miles to the east from 3.9 to Fairgrounds and beyond to where the new tunnel line will be along the entire corridor. Now, on the bottom portion of this area, you'll see, it's hard to tell, but there's Todd Drive, that's the only one that have the overpass. All around it, it's at 400 acres I'm talking about. So you have a lot of opportunities along the loop, so we can find a way to get the infrastructure in place. We actually flew a drone to kind of get footage of what's available. I couldn't make that attachment, I'm just not that tech savvy. But I think if we can get that information, the drones, images, we could market this location for other developers that have to show an interest, and then they come in and basically develop and finish up the infrastructure that's needed. But we put the seed in place, we fertilized it, we watered it, and we got it's coming to build in Texas. So the next slide kind of just talks about, you've seen this before, but I was going to have my video, so sorry, Sarah, we'll go to the next one. But that's the long-term plan. You know, what does Todd Drive look like in the future? NPO is that purplish color. Now that you see the dot in the center, it's hard to see, but that's where Todd Drive goes. The rest of it is on us. How do we encourage developers to come in and build that infrastructure or partner with them to build that infrastructure? Again, looking at leveraging our funds to secure more dollars come to us. And so anytime you can leverage funds, you put in $1, you get $5 back. That's really the goal. I think that's what we've been successful, and that's our plan moving forward, is continue doing that. Look at this area of the city in terms of the needs we have to serve all these people. Yeah, that's it. So I want to be quick, brief, and answer any questions.
Jose, it is correct, is it not, that when local dollars are committed to a project, it automatically goes on to the UTP?
So the way the state works, that's kind of intriguing because it's not automatic. You have to have, when you're talking about a state project, your wish list is the MTP, put it into MTP, and it's just a wish list. Nothing's happening with that. And then over time, you have to start committing dollars to that, and then you get into UTP, but the state won't actually start to engage in planning efforts. So you have 100% of that project funded. And the reason for that is that they have so many projects that everybody, okay, I put 20% towards this project. Well, they don't have the staff or the resources, so they have become 100% funded in that UTP realm to actually start to develop the plans. Once they develop the plans, then it's eligible on the tip. So what we did here is Todd was in the MTP. And so, and that's a great question, sir. It's actually, I had notes here. So in 2020, sorry guys, I'm bored with this detail. In 2020, we had no money allocated towards the Todd Valley Pass. Nothing. We knew we needed it. But you have to remember, the other challenge we have is that we also share the Odessa city. So we're one MPO and we have our brother Odessa and ourselves meeting with the same dollars. So to try to squirrel away $25 million to a project was a hard press. And Odessa also, well, where's my $25 million? It's a fair question. So all we could do is kind of nibble at that. So we secured $2.5 million in 21. Then we increased it to 4.5 in 22. In 23, we got up to 18.5, but it's still a $25 million project. Now to 24, we finally secure all $25 million of the project. Now that means the state can actually start to trigger their development plans. Well, since we took care of that, it's like skipping a rock in the lake. Skipped basically the EPP process. We touched it, we went straight to the tip. And not only did we get to the tip was a 4-year window. We took care of the back end. We got it to the front, which is unheard of. So this is a huge win for us. And again, the efforts from the NBC, because in my mind, we planted the seed with $1 million. And then from there, it was our challenge. And with the mayor's efforts and all other elected officials, and even councilman was pushing, trying to go down to Austin, trying to encourage them, hey, we have a need, we have the plans, look at the growth. We need these dollars for our community. And we're able to get it. And it didn't, none of that could happen until we had planning done. And that was the direction given to us, I think, about this time frame. In 22, I was told, Jose, you need to have that project on the list because it was an MTP. So for us to fast track all that, to get it here, it's unheard of.
And we started meeting with TxDOT officials in Austin, really mostly 2022. We didn't meet with them because of COVID and everything else that was going on, but 2022 is when we started going down and having conversations saying, please get this funded. We're putting our money where our mouth is through the NBC and the city and through the design efforts that Jose was coordinating. Jack Lab was working with the MPO and I was having conversations with Odessa. So this really was something that started somewhat in 2020, but really in earnest in 2022 to get us to this point. It's been a long process.
Yeah, so we talked about we knocked off 6 years. I think we knocked off 15 years, to be honest with you. With the way the process, the way we have that whole process, just having a coordination effort and having these conversations. But the biggest thing to the mayor's point is we're out there, but we teed it up. I mean, you couldn't miss this. So by having the plans down the right way in place, couldn't miss this. A lot of people they did the same thing. It was, I have a project, I need this project. Well, where's the environment? Well, I don't have that. Well, where's this? Well, I don't have that. We had it teed up to go. So this is a huge one for us. I'm excited to share that with everybody.
How many projects, what's the total amount since like 2017, since we started this financial program we've been able to achieve the tax
I
fund?
think we went, text that. I have to take a look at that. My first, I mean, we're talking about $225 million bridges or overpass. I think it was 20 million at the time. The inflation was 25.
We've also got the ones on I-20 and everything else.
It has to be more than $100 million.
Significant return on investment for the taxpayers.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment?
I also want to mention James Beecham works diligently to get some of the attention drawn to this. Whenever that was built out, the North Loop, and it became apparent that they were going to kick us off and do the little workaround that we have right now. So there were a lot of folks that were participating in those conversations. I just wanted to mention his name as well.
Thank you. Any discussion from the board? Okay, thank you. Item 5, resolution authorizing the execution of a landlord lien waiver and consent to remove personal property within Midland Development Corporation, the Steam Corporation, and First Citizens Bank and Trust Company. This consent allows the First Citizen Bank and Trust to remove custodians' assets from their leased premises located on land owned by the MDC. The MDC does not have an economic development agreement with custodian, only a lease agreement. This consent does not conflict with the existing lease. The consent is location specific. Is there any public comment? Any discussion from the board? I'll call for a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion by Zach Tech, and a second by Garrett Donnelly. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, presentation of May 2025 Economic Development Activity Report from the Midland Development Corporation, Executive Director, Sarah Harris. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, board. The financial statements for May 2025 are in your board packets for your review. If anyone has any questions, I would like to note that the city has requested reimbursement for the second half of the State Highway 191 and Sinclair intersection. So that will be a disbursement that shows up in June of a little more than $2 million. That is not in this month's financial statements. It will be in the June financial statements. So exciting to see that project completed. In terms of sales tax receipts, they were up 16% year over year for May receipts, which are reflective of March collections. At this point, MDC is tracking 25% above budget for this fiscal year. It remains to be seen for the remaining months what those receipts will look like, but so far we're well ahead of budget. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, those are my comments.
You have a comment? Please state your name again and address. Thank you.
Yeah, Jack Campbell, 110 Ridley Drive. On the financials in the packet, the year-to-date sales tax revenue is 8.7 million, and on this, it says 11.5. Can you explain why that's different?
Yes, on the financial statements in the packet, it is reflective of the fiscal year. This is reflective of the calendar year. So because of the 2-month delay between collection and posting, the city puts those and reflects those in our accounts. This just shows the calendar year so the board can know what's basically this is plus those 2 months and puts in the income statement is minus those 2 months.
It looks like it's the same period, but the financials are for an 8-month period. It's like 8 months. Is it accrual versus?
Excuse me, just a minute. This is really a comment period only.
But I'm happy to discuss.
Okay.
So because the collections are each month or 2 months prior, 2 of these months were adjusted by the city back into the previous fiscal year. But this is the way that I present it to the board, so they'll know in terms of the calendar year how. If that makes sense.
Thank you.
I don't want to interject any greatly here, but there's, the city is also making sales tax collections, as are some of the hospital and the county. And so there's a similar type of adjustment in the conversations that are provided to all of those different bodies because of this 2-month lag. So it makes everything, we're looking at everything else sort of real time, but there's a 2-month lag in the sales tax projection or sales tax receivables that we get. So this is a common way of showing it. Because there's that 2-month lag in the way that the state provided.
So, sorry, but I mean, $2 million on is pretty significant. So is this more reflective, or is the financial statement reflective?
This is reflective of for the calendar period. The financial statements are reflective of the fiscal period. So this has 2 months that will be adjusted back into the previous fiscal year. So the first 2 months of this year were actually for sales that took place in the previous fiscal year.
It's just, is it kind of simply to say this? This shows when the NBC received the dollars. And the financial statement shows when the dollars are actually reflected from sales tax. So
That is
it's a
correct.
2 months difference.
That is correct.
I just received a text message from the finance director for the city, and it is cash basis versus accrual basis as a more simplistic way to say it.
When it was collected from actual sales taxes versus when it was transferred to the C, there's a 2 months lag. So 1.7 plus 1.7 is about that $3 million. That's the.
Well, that number that says 1.71173,758 is the same number as the current month on financials. So. That seems like, I don't know, we could maybe a conversation outside the.
How council does that is.
I'm not.
Item number 7. Discussion and take action on the scheduling of a proposed special meeting of the board of directors to be held in the month of June or July. Determine a date in June or July for strategic planning meeting when all MVC board members can attend. So. Anybody want to have input about, possibly meeting following our July board meeting? Potentially?
Yes, for just ease of discussion, I wanted to have an opportunity when the board was all in the room. Of course, Brad is absent today to find a date for a special board meeting for a strategic planning session. Whether that is any day of the week or the weekend, just, I know everybody's schedules gets very busy in the summer and thought it'd be easier to just try to put 2 to 3 possible dates together while we're in one room. And then we can settle on one day, post the meeting publicly.
Well, every week of June, with July, it works for me.
Right after the meeting, July.
After the meeting, next there, whatever.
That Monday does not work.
It does not work for you.
No.
Okay,
I will not be here on that Monday.
well, then that's not a good date.
You know,
I am, I could do Tuesday, the 8th.
Okay, how does Tuesday fit with, it fits my calendar, Zach? Garrett? Well, LB, Tuesday, the 8th of July, at what time?
That's a council. That's city council.
Have to be the afternoon of July, 8th. Is that afternoon okay? That's Tuesday. Tuesday, the 8th, it's like 2 o'clock.
That works for me.
Could we
Good.
maybe find 3 dates to make sure that one of those might work for Brad?
Want to shoot for July 9th day? Add another date in July 9th,
10 a.m.
10 a.m. July 9th,
I can do that.
LB? That. Good was. Everybody think? It's all right, though.
Yeah, the first one works best with the.
Okay. But you can't make the 9th of Tuesday.
Yes.
Those 2 days, okay, sir?
Find one more, please, just in case.
Okay,
Don't do the 10th one, see.
okay, we won't do the 10th. That's a bad day for me too,
Or the 11th.
or the 11th, so let's look at the following Tuesday, the 15th. Out the whole week. The 11th doesn't work, is there anybody opposed to a weekend type deal?
I'm not, however, I am not available the weekend of July 18th, 19th.
Well, the previous week is the July 4th week, I don't think that would be a very good week for anybody, so.
And I'm not available the 12th or 13th.
Okay, so with the third choice, let's make it the low priority choice, the week of July 21st through the 25th. How's everybody's schedule look there on Tuesday at 10 a.m.? Wow.
So let's start.
Sarah, let's go with the 2, see where that fits and revisit it if we need to.
What about August 5th, just in case? August 5th, in your third one.
That's,
Is that board meeting?
That's the day after.
Day after?
that's probably, is that a council meeting?
No, there's the second and fourth.
Yeah, it's the 4th.
August 4th is the meeting, August 5th.
That would be, 5th would be good with me. Jill?
August 5th.
At what time? What works? for you?
That works.
2 p.m. afternoon.
Okay, 2 p.m. August 5th,
Yep.
third day.
Thank you. I will circle with Brad to confirm a date and get it on everyone's calendars as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point in time, we'll, move to executive session. It is 10:52. Pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.101, the board of directors will hold an executive session which is closed to the public. Discuss the following matters as permitted under the following Texas Government Code sections. Section 551.072 deliberation regarding real property. Discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Section 551.087 deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. Discuss business prospects of Midland Development Corporation seeks to have, locate, stay, or expand in or near the city of Midland, Texas. And discuss possible incentives and discuss contract compliance on part of business. Mayor, there is an item I'd like you to hear about, so if you could stay for a few minutes, I'd appreciate it. Amy, if you could stay.
They do.